Equals September 1939. The marble corridors of the United States Capitol shimmer beneath the golden light of late summer. The news from Europe has just arrived. Germany has invaded Poland. Congressman Samuel Adler stands in his dim office, the radio murmuring phrases of catastrophe. Tanks, bombers, surrender. His assistant enters quietly. "Sir, the President will address Congress tomorrow." Adler nods, but his mind drifts to the Neutrality Acts, laws meant to keep America out of another world war. Yet, could neutrality now mean complicity? Outside, Washington hums with tension. Reporters rush through corridors, typewriters hammer headlines. The air smells of ink and uncertainty. Adler whispers to himself, "If we stay silent, how long before that silence consumes us all?" The Capitol dome looms above him, magnificent and foreboding, a symbol of democracy poised between conscience and caution.
Morning breaks over Washington. The House chamber swells with the hum of anticipation. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's voice echoes across the hall, measured and solemn. No nation can be neutral in spirit. Samuel Adler listens from his bench, pen trembling in his hand. Around him, representatives murmur, some with approval, others in defiance. Senator Nye growls, defending isolation. The echoes of the Great War still haunt these men, the graves in France, the debts unpaid. Adler recalls the telegrams his father sent home in 1918, the shaky handwriting of a soldier certain he'd never come back. Now, facing new chaos, Adler feels history tightening around him. What if neutrality was cowardice wrapped in law? The applause that follows Roosevelt's departure is uneven, a reflection of a democracy deeply divided. Outside, the rain begins, streaking the Capitol's marble steps like tears.
In the smoke-filled rooms of the old Senate office building, arguments rumble deep into the night. Isolationists wave old telegrams warning of European deceit. Interventionists demand moral clarity. Adler, caught in the middle, hears both sides, and neither convinces him entirely. He steps outside, into the cool corridor, hands pressed to the stone wall. The world feels heavier with every headline. London fortifying, France mobilizing, Warsaw burning. He knows his constituents in Ohio want peace. They send thousands of letters pleading, "Stay out." But in his heart, Adler fears that ignoring tyranny now will bring the storm to America's shores later. In that lonely hallway, beneath portraits of past statesmen, he feels their judgment. History does not pause for hesitation, and neutrality, he realizes, is a fragile illusion.
Late September. A messenger arrives, breathless, holding a telegram from the Polish embassy. Adler reads, "Warsaw under siege. Civilian losses catastrophic." The words slice through the silence of his office. He sinks into his chair, eyes fixed on the typewritten horror. His aide asks softly, "What does it say?" Adler cannot speak. Outside, thunder rumbles. The Polish ambassador, Count Potocki, visits later that evening, his face pale but resolute. "Congressman," he says, "if democracy will not defend itself, none shall survive." The plea echoes long after the ambassador leaves. Adler stares out of the window at the night sky over Washington, thinking of a faraway city burning beneath German bombs. The Neutrality Acts lie open on his desk, cold, bureaucratic words that suddenly feel inhuman.
Early October. The floor debate transforms into a storm of conviction and fury. Reporters fill the galleries, ink pens scratching furiously. Senator Vandenberg warns of entanglements. Others rise shouting about liberty and duty. Adler takes the floor. His voice trembles at first, then strengthens. "We may not choose this war," he declares, "but history will judge what we choose to ignore." The chamber erupts. Applause on one side, jeers on the other. Shouts of warmonger echo through the marble dome. Cameras flash like lightning. In that commotion, democracy fights with itself, the fragile orchestra of voices testing the limits of the Republic's conscience. As the gavel falls, Adler sits, heart pounding, realizing he has crossed an invisible line between silence and conviction.
Back in Ohio, the autumn harvest covers the countryside in gold and red. When Adler visits his hometown, he's greeted not with applause, but concern. At the train station, a young mother approaches him clutching a letter. "My husband died in France," she whispers. "Don't send our boys again." The words sting sharper than any debate. That night, Adler reads dozens of letters, farmers, veterans, widows, each pleading for peace. Yet among them lies one that moves him most. A teacher writes, "If freedom fades abroad, will it survive here?" The church bells echo across the quiet fields. In that vast calm, he feels the weight of every voice pressing upon his conscience, a chorus torn between sorrow and hope.
On October 3rd, Roosevelt addresses the nation again from the Oval Office. His fireside voice drifts from radios in homes and bars across America. The peace of the world is in peril, he warns. Adler listens alone in his Washington apartment, the glow of the radio warming the dark. Beyond the window, the city seems still, as if holding its breath. Roosevelt's words rise and fall like the tides of fate. When the speech ends, Adler stands and moves to his desk. He circles a phrase in his notes, "cash and carry amendment." It could be the key, aid for democracies without risking soldiers. For the first time in weeks, he feels clarity, not certainty, but purpose. He whispers, "This is the step, the first one." The dial of the radio fades to static, but the echo remains.
November 4th, 1939. The House floor, breathless and electric. The revised Neutrality Act is up for final vote. Reporters crowd the galleries, cameras poised. Adler clutches his pen like a relic. When his name is called, he pauses, then says clearly, "I." A ripple of murmur spreads across the chamber. Outside, the Capitol dome glows against the early dusk. The amendment passes. Arms may now be sold to nations at war, provided they transport them themselves, cash and carry. It is a compromise, fragile but momentous. The chamber empties slowly, leaving Adler standing amid the echoing wooden desks. He knows this choice will shape America's path to the inevitable. The telegram machine downstairs clatters to life. London is grateful. A small act in paper and ink, yet history shifts.
Beyond America's shores, ships soon cross the Atlantic, laden with supplies, grain, steel, and rifles packed under tarps. In London, Churchill praises American resolve. In Berlin, Hitler's ministers scowl. Newsreels flicker in theaters, showing convoys loading in New York Harbor under floodlights. Adler watches from the gallery, the grainy film washing over his face. For the first time, he feels connected to the world beyond the Potomac. Yet he knows this is only the beginning, that neutrality has already quietly died. America has stepped toward the storm, one shipment, one vote at a time. Outside, the river glints beneath the winter moon, reflecting both hope and foreboding, the calm before the coming surge.
December 1939. Snow drifts over Washington. Adler walks the Capitol grounds, his breath a cloud in the winter air. He knows peace will not hold. Europe burns still, and America watches, waiting for its summons. The Neutrality Acts, once symbols of restraint, are now stepping stones toward involvement. In a letter to his constituents, Adler writes, "I voted not for war, but for conscience." The camera of history will remember that winter, the quiet before the thunder. In the distance, a church bell tolls across the frozen Potomac, solemn and resolute. Adler turns toward the dome, bathed in pale light, whispering a final prayer that America's courage will rise before it's too late.